everybody, welcome back to another hosting.com live stream. Today, we've got a critical subject, one that we love to talk about here at hosting.com, and that's building profitable retainers. Or you might heard maintenance plans, care plans, a part of your agency work. This is a part of our agency success community. I'm Corey Miller, our chief evangelist here, lead of our agency success community. And today I've got Olly Feldman, our head of global sales at hosting.com. I've been working with Olly for almost a year now. First time we met, I was like, what do you do? And he said, hey, I help agencies. And I said, well, we're going to be best friends and partners. And that's the way it's been. I love what Olly and how he leads his team to do sales here. If you think about sales and you're like me, you go, but then if you hear Olly talk, and it's all relationship and it's all about customer success, your success. So Olly will share a little bit more about himself, but he talks quite frequently, works frequently with agencies, thousands of agencies at hosting.com, but his past experience really focused on this key topic because it's about if you win, we win as your hosting provider. So Olly, thank you for being on today. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as Corey touched on, I've been working with agencies for over a decade from a hosting perspective. So I've been in sales and hosting for over a decade, predominantly working in the agency space. So that's ensuring that agencies have the right hosting for speed and uptime and all that good stuff that you need to have from a hosting provider. But more importantly, actually being a partner and strategic partner with those agencies so that we can ensure the hosting isn't just working, but it's actually something that's profitable and can be worked into a retainer strategy for agencies to make sure they're making money from it. Now, agency work is so about the peaks and troughs of project wins. We want to help you smooth that out into a retainer-based business so you've got a solid foundation of recurring revenue. And throughout working with probably tens of thousands of agencies over that last decade, we get some really good insights into what's working and what's not working. And then we also run our own reports as well, so we'll truly understand what people are doing, where they're winning and where they're losing. So today we are going to do a bit of an introduction as to what retainers are. We're going to go into why retainers. So actually cover off a load of points of actually the benefits to you as an agency of having retainers. You may have retainers of some type as well. So this isn't just, hey, if you're not doing no retainers, doing no recurring revenue, do this. It's also if you already have retainers, there's a different way to think about it to actually change the whole strategy around operations, the way you sell it, the way you market it, the way you run it to ensure you are profitable. And then we're going to dive into how to create retainers and some of the best models. And this hasn't just come from myself and out my head. This has come from working with thousands of agencies globally, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working. We've got an example of what one of the specific agencies I've worked with for the last 7 years has done and how it's taken them from being in a state of loss to highly profitable and then be sold. So it's a fantastic model, a fantastic thing to go through. Please do use the Q&A button if you have any questions throughout, be it on the slides, be it anything else, please do ask, happy to help. So why retainers? Retainers basically, at a very high level, give you stable recurring income. So the biggest issue with the majority of agencies is cash flow. So many agencies, and if you have never seen the bench press report run by the Wow Company, I highly recommend going and looking it up. If you just Google bench press report, you will find it. They run a fantastic report every year on agencies' profit, loss, what they're charging, wages they're paying staff, and everything else. It's a fantastic resource. But what that shows is the majority of agencies don't even have enough cash in the bank to cover 3 months of costs. And so you're constantly chasing that next win, that next project that's going to cover the bills and give you profit. So it's very much like a roller coaster. You've got the peaks and troughs going up and down, whereas retainers give you, your whole business doesn't have to be retainers, but what retainers gives you is that steady income stream. So your wages are covered, your office space, if you have an office, is covered, and all of the costs of running the business are there and covered every month. And then the project-based stuff is then the wins on top and the things that let you grow to the next level. So it's super important if you want to grow your agency, particularly if you want to sell your agency, retainers are key to doing that. And the key thing about retainers is it's changing your mindset. So agencies are service companies. You are there to provide a service to a brand, be it SEO, be it marketing, be it PPC, be it building a website. You're providing a service. And the mindset is very much in that service space. Customers first, we're providing this service, how do we do it, what do we do? Whereas actually retainers, you need to shift your mindset. So you need to move your mindset more into that product space so that you're productizing the offers that you do. And you've probably heard this at so many talks and so many webinars and events you attend, where actually you need to bottle up all that magic that makes your agency, all your experts internally, what they do, the products they create, and productize it, because it makes it easier to sell, but more importantly, it makes it easier to be profitable. So it's that shift in mindset is the first stage of building retainers. So the first point on why to use retainers is they are easier to deliver and run. I love the statement that it's more like a bakery than a building site. So rather than every project having bits everywhere and you have to kind of figure it out and put it all together and build all the blocks to build the building or the website or the SEO or whatever it is that your agency focuses on, it's more like a bakery. It was like, well, okay, here's the 10 things we do. What one are we doing today? Okay, we're baking baguettes today, or we're baking croissants today. It makes it much easier to deliver because it's repeatable, it's cookie cutter, and it means that it's much more scalable. And our second point is growth is simpler and more predictable. And that's whatever growth means to you. You know, you may be wanting to win by one customer a year, you may be wanting to win hundreds of customers a year. And it depends how, you know, you could be growing it for any purpose, to sell, to just get more profit out of the business, or to grow to a larger agency. It's whatever that growth means to you. It makes it simpler and more predictable. Because when you're on retainers, and we're going to come on to how to build out retainer packages, but ideally you have a small number of packages. And you therefore know if you win one new client, two new clients in each of these packages categories, you can predict the future cash flow of that client. Whereas if you just win a project work, you have a client come to you who wants some consultancy work or they want some SEO work, you have one project and you don't know what other money you're going to get out of that customer. You can assume and you can guess, but you can't guarantee it, and you can't properly predict the growth you're going to get off the back of it. So it really helps from that point of view. Sales are easier. Rather than going in and having an absolutely custom quote for every single customer, you have set packages, a set way of delivering those packages, and set costs. Of course, there'll be extras that you add in and sprinkle on top, but it just makes the whole process much easier because these are the things we deliver. This is what you get in our packages. This is the monthly cost or the annual cost. And it makes onboarding new clients so much easier and a lot quicker as well, because you don't have to go away and build custom proposals every single time. You can have one set proposal you just tweak for each client. Clients are happier because you haven't had to go through this whole custom setup, perhaps doing things you're not used to doing, things that you don't necessarily want to deliver, or that have a lot of projects creep. Clients are happier because it's, hey, this is the package we're selling you. This is what you get in this package. If you want these extra things, you move up to the next package. And these are our retainer costs of each one. And it means that the client has better expectations and understanding of what they're getting from you as an agency. And therefore, they are much happier with this whole model and the way they buy things. And they can also very easily see if they want these extra products, these extra services, to upgrade up to the next package. It really does make a difference in the clients being happy as well. And the CSAT scores dramatically increase for agencies who are running on this type of basis. Your business is more profitable, and this is the absolute key one, right? Some people are in a business for a lifestyle business. Some people are there to grow it and sell it. The key to any of that is profitability. And by using a retainer strategy and building it in the right way, your business is not just profitable, but it's predictably profitable. So you can work out, you can forecast properly what's going to happen in 12 months' time, what's going to happen in 24 months' time, and it makes it much, much easier, and the profit comes. Your business is worth more. So this is really, really key with retainers. Whether you are looking to sell your business or not, your business is worth more if you have retained clients. So if you have 50 clients on project basis, you don't know when the next project they want is going to come. You know, they're in your roster, you're getting in touch with them every 3, 4, 6 months, however often you get in touch to see if they've got that next project. You can't predict what the revenue is that's coming in. And therefore, if someone wants to buy your business, they can't see the true value because of that project-based work. Whereas when these clients are contracted to you on a retainer, they can go, okay, well, you've got 50 clients paying you $3,000 per month, and they're contracted for 36 months. They can see the true value in the business. So it's worth more if you're not looking to sell. That also means you can raise more capital, you can hire more staff, and you can predict everything better. But if you are looking to sell, you get a much higher multiple on your business, and your EBITDA is better because the customers are contracted and you've got that predictable, profitable recurring revenue. So we're going to talk about a client. I won't share their actual name because they are still a running agency. I'd been with them as they went through the whole process. And actually, my first time I met this client was when they were really struggling. They were actually losing $1.5 million per year as an agency. It was a very large agency. They'd niched down a lot, and they were running on project-based work. They had a new managing director come in who had come from outside of the agency world. And they came in and changed around the whole business based on a retainer model. And we're going to share the example. So I've made up a name. We've called it Purple Carrot. It's a great agency name. Everyone has an item and a color, and it's fantastic. We always said I want to do as an April Fool's joke, have an agency name calculator, and it just picks random things. So we're going to call them Purple Carrot, but we're going to dive into what they did and how they turned it around ultimately. So if you don't mind just hopping back to the previous slide, thank you. So this diagram is basically the model that they used to turn the agency around. So we're calling it the springboard model. And there's three key pieces to this diagram. So it's the three pillars of business growth. So we're referring to it as the springboard model, but it illustrates that a successful and scalable company must have three interconnected systems working perfectly: a commercial model, an operational model, and a marketing model. So if you think of it this way, you can't fly without fuel. That's the commercial model. You need capital and revenue to sustain growth in your agency. And if you don't have it, you're stuck. You can't fly with a broken engine, and that's your operational model. So the processes that your team follows and all of those processes have to be efficient enough to handle increasing demand as you scale. Because if you don't have that, then you just get stuck in the weeds and you will not scale. And you can't fly without a destination. So you need to know where you're flying to. And that's your marketing model. So you need customers to buy your product or service. And if no one knows you exist, the business is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You can make the most amazing website with the best SEO, ranking first on Google. But actually, how are you going to get the next person to buy that off you? They need to know that you exist. And the real magic happens when all three of these overlap and you get a scalable operation, a strong brand awareness, and the capital to fund it all. You create a synergy that acts as a true springboard for explosive, sustainable, profitable growth. So if we hop on to the next slide, we'll set the context. So this slide is detailing the three integrated pillars of this agency strategy. We're calling it the springboard. So it moves beyond simply defining the pillars and setting the metrics and structural components required for us to move to something that is truly scalable. So if we start on the commercial model, you need to drive profit and you need to drive stability in the business. You can't do anything else without that. So it's our financial engine. And the focus here is on high profitability and revenue stability. This means you need high gross margins. So this agency targeted over 50% gross margins to ensure maximum profitability on every project they delivered. From a retainer revenue point of view, they aimed for 60% of all of their revenue across the whole agency to be retainer-based recurring revenue. And they achieved this within 6 months by going to all the existing customers and changing how they sold to new customers. This stabilized their cash flow and reduced the constant pressure of new business acquisition. So they weren't having to constantly try and win new customers because they had retained revenue covering 60% of their overall revenue as an agency. And to give you some productivity metrics of what they were using in their agency, they basically wanted 90, this is in pounds rather than dollars, but they wanted £90 to £120 of revenue per head at the agency. And that means for everyone, that's not just the developer building the website or the PPC specialist doing the ad campaign. That means for every single person, from an office manager to the CEO, every head in the agency, they want between 90 and £120 per head of revenue to be created. And they want over £90 per hour as the rate that they're charging. So that's the absolute minimum that they are charging. And that was the key to them in maximizing their yield from their experienced team. And it was supported by a target of over 60% utilization of that team on existing client work rather than going and running new business. And that comes back to the 60% of their gross margins coming from retained revenue. And when we then move on to the operational model, this enables them to scale. So it's how they achieved efficiency and they delivered reliably. So the goal here for them was to move away from a bespoke, chaotic service delivery towards a scalable infrastructure. So they were very much going into every client pitch, and they would be doing a pitch every day. And they're going into every pitch and it's custom every single time, which means they go into a pitch every day, they go away and they take days, sometimes weeks to build the pitch back, go back, win 1 in 5, 1 in 10, whatever the conversion rates were at the time. but they're doing that every time. So there's cost there, not necessarily towards the win. And it also meant that they couldn't scale that very easily. So they focused on productizing their services. And it was the most important thing that they did at this agency. So they packaged up that expertise into repeatable, standardized solutions. And this is the only way to reduce reliance on individual expertise and ensure consistent quality. So they achieved this through clear systems and clear processes, managed by senior leadership and delivered by experienced people through dedicated client services functions. And that structure was designed to handle increasing volume without proportional increase in administrative overhead. So to put that very simply, it basically meant they could keep winning new clients at quite a high scale without having to suddenly have tons of other work from an administrative point of view, from a leadership point of view, from a senior developer point of view. It's designed to scale, and they know how many clients they need to win based on how many staff they need in the background. So it's very predictable in terms of growing the agency from a client point of view, a profit point of view, and a staff point of view. And then finally is the marketing model, which is sustained demand. So you can set yourself up to win, you can price properly, you can have efficient systems and everything in place, but you then need the customers to make that all come together. So the marketing model is about generating consistent, high quality demand by achieving market differentiation. Your agencies, you know how to market, but the worst thing agencies do is how they market themselves. Agencies are fantastic at marketing clients, but often never take that time to step back and market themselves. And it's about thinking about not competing head to head in a crowded market. So for agencies, the strategy for this particular agency was to define a unique space. So it's called blue ocean positioning, to achieve premium pricing and avoid the race to the bottom, which so many agencies get caught up in. Well, actually, we really like your proposal. We like the way you're doing things. We love your client testimonials. But this guy said that they're going to do it for $2,000 cheaper. So we're going to go with them. Or can you match their price? And you avoid that by setting yourself in the right place in the market. So this particular agency niched themselves down to create websites for accountancy companies. And that was their focus. And it meant that they set in a premium space with premium clients and they could sell in the right way. And they didn't have to get sucked into that race to the bottom. They then focused on trust and commitment. So they offered a 100% guarantee of the work that they were doing. And it was a powerful marketing tool that dramatically reduced the client risk, and it signaled confidence in the delivery of the project. So they guaranteed, you're paying this price, this is what you're going to get. There's not going to be project creep, and you're not going to get extra bills on the back of it. Because they designed the model in the right way, they knew that they could deliver it, and that built trust with the people buying the products. And then the next part, and probably the most valuable part, is that this model is always on. So they used a mix of strategies, which was cross-selling and upselling to existing clients, which, as you'll see when we come to building packages later, it's so much easier when you productize what you're doing. So doing that to existing clients for quick wins to increase that recurring revenue. And they used data-driven insights from their customer data platform in-house so that they could efficiently upsell and cross-sell to their clients, and then also see all of those clients who then can refer in more business. And that kept a continuous sales pipeline going. They were then doing customer testimonials. They slowly drip feed those out to the outside world via websites, social media, LinkedIn, which they would put some ad campaigns behind. And it kept a continuous revolving door of leads coming into the agency. And their churn was extremely low because these clients were on long-term retainer contracts. So the conclusion to all of this and the underlying theme is simplicity. So if you achieve, if they wanted to achieve these aggressive targets in all three models, it is impossible if the business is complex. So their services, their internal processes, and their client communication had to be simple to allow the commercial, operational, and marketing pillars to align and truly act as that springboard for accelerated growth. So bringing your packages to life. Obviously, we talked about a bit about what that agency did and what they focused on. If anyone would like a lot more information, I have a lot more I can go into and give you more detailed case studies and what they're actually doing, the products, the services, the pricing, things like that. Please let me know either in the Q&A or at the end, there'll be a chance to book a call. Happy to go through it in a lot more detail for you. But it's then about bringing those packages to life. So you can have all those things in place, you're ready to go, but you then actually need to make sure your packages are in the right place so that the retainers are there and how you position them is in the right place. So what are the benefits? Number one is cash flow, regular, reliable stream of recurring income. The number one thing that agencies struggle for and need if they don't have the right retainers in place. Second is forecasting. You have a predictable forecast of all of the work that's coming in. You know what you're charging your clients. You know what staff costs are, and it makes life a lot easier. It really, really builds trust and strengthens that client relationship, as we touched on. And it gives you a clear opportunity to upsell services and grow your clients' monthly spend. So you're not always chasing those new clients. You can actually get more money out of your existing clients because there's a clear upgrade path. And then the key to all of this, the data is shocking of how many agencies have over 60% of their revenue coming from a single client. And if that client was to move to another agency, or they were to take everything they do with you in-house, it could topple your agency, or it could lead to mass redundancies. So this, by running on a retainer model, having recurring income, clients contracted, you're less reliant on that single client, and therefore if someone does churn, the value to your business is much lower. So the key thing to all of this is positioning and client relationship. So currently, most agencies sit between supplier and solutions provider. You're either offering basic services, you're doing a commodity sell, and you don't have really tight-knit relationships with your clients. Or most agencies are moving towards a solution provider. So they're providing reliable solutions, they have defined offerings of what they're doing, they support their clients and their businesses, and they offer strategy and consultancy and everything else on top. I would say the majority of agencies, as they sort of grow out of that freelancer stage, are sitting in solution provider. What retainers gives you is allows you to get to that strategic partner space. And this is where you really want to live. And this is how we focus at hosting.com on our client sales and on our relationship building. Every client gets an account manager who knows what they're doing, is experienced, and we try to be that strategic partner so that our clients come to us and say, actually, we've got this project we're working on. We'd need a little bit of advice, please. How should we host it? How should we set it up? Or could you put us in touch with another agency who's done a similar thing and won this deal? So it's becoming that strategic partner so that your clients are coming to you for advice and not just coming to you for a product or service. And it means you can deliver business value. It's partner led. You lead change within their business. You solve problems for them and you offer them business strategy. You don't just support that strategy, but you can actually guide them on what they should be doing as well. Now, I love this statement. It's build packages around the problems you solve and not just the services you sell. Now, what we mean by that is the packages you're selling your clients, we come onto it, there's a set number of packages you should be doing, but you should be building those packages around the problems you solve for the client and not just the service you sell. So this isn't an SEO package that will get you to number one on Google. This is the package that means you're going to be found, you're going to get X amount of traffic and all the benefits and problems you're solving for them. They're struggling to be seen, they're struggling to get leads. It's that you're solving, not getting them to number one on Google. So it's making sure you package it in the right way. And I'm happy to go through any of that with people on how to actually package up your services. But it's really key to think about the problems you solve, not the services you sell. And even more important is show them the results. So you have to have case studies and you have to have guides and you have to have quotes from existing clients showing the results of what you've done and the problems you've solved. It's not just telling them that we can solve it, it's proving and showing them that you can do it. You need to make your packages really clear, really concise and attractive. But the key part to that is to the clients you want. So if you look through your client base, I'm sure you have lots of clients that are constantly contacting your team for support, constantly not necessarily complaining, but moaning about things that are going on, or they're not happy with the way things are working. Probably also not your biggest clients. They're typically the smaller clients that are doing this. If you look at Pareto's law and the 80-20, you need to look at the actual clients who are most profitable to you, work the best with your team, and that your product solves their problems in the best way. And that's what you want to focus on with your packages. So when you're going to win new business, you're pulling in the right type of customer. You need to make them easy to digest. They need to be super easy to understand. Make it simple, remove any uncertainty, so it's super clear what is included in your packages. Your language should be simple. You don't want to be complicated. A lot of people love to shove so much information on to try and show that you're experts, lots of acronyms and lots of other things. Just make it simple. Do not assume the client knows what you're talking about. 9 times out of 10, they probably won't. So now we come on to the packages. In the ideal world, you will have 3 packages. The reason you want three packages is it's actually psychology. If you dig into a lot of psychology of sales and humans, we like things in threes. You can go back to children's nursery rhymes. I don't know if they're the same all around the world, but in the UK, we have things like Three Little Pigs, Three Blind Mice. It's always threes. And the way we make decisions is always in threes. So it's like a good, better, best. And I'm sure you've all heard of this before in terms of pricing products and the way you do things. But actually, have you dug into and thought about the reasons why? So the key here is we're saying have three packages. Doesn't matter what your agency sells, you can take everything you do and get it into three packages with some add-ons. So there might be some extras, and from an SEO point of view, it might be the amount that they want to spend or the amount of keywords they're going after. But you have different packages and you value it in. And the key thing is your first package should be a really low value package for entry-level clients who have room to grow. That's not just to go after the entire market and try and win everyone. That's a package that's designed specifically for that ideal client profile. And you look at that ideal client and actually where are they at the beginning of their journey? What problems do they need to solve when they're just starting out? So you have an entry-level low value package for those clients who have room to grow. You then focus on your most popular package. And the idea behind this package is it's the right value, so the right price, for the right client. When we think about that ideal client profile, it's the right client, you're selling it at the right price, and it includes the ideal services that you want to be selling to that type of client at the right price for you. That means you're not selling it too cheap, you're not roasting to the bottom. You know how much you want to sell these services for. You've built them around solving the problems for your ideal type of client, and then you price it at the right price point. That's your most popular package. And you want to include the most things in there because you want people to be buying this package because it's the one that's right for your agency. And then finally, you have a higher price package for deeper products that has some more added value, because often some companies will just have that mindset of actually, we just need the best. So you need to offer them that option. But actually, from a psychology point of view, you want to offer it so that people feel they're getting value in your most popular middle package. And the way you price it on your website is you want people to, and your proposals and everything, you show the most popular package first. Hey, this is the best package for you. This is all the things it does. But actually, if your budget doesn't quite match this, or if you don't quite want these features, we have this one for you. We have an entry level one, so you can get started. And if you feel you need the absolute, the best of the best, we have a high end package for you as well. But if we jump onto the next slide, we'll show you a little bit more about this. So there's 3 steps to building these packages. So first of all, you need to look at the strategy. So you need to really take time and dive into the setting up and the planning of these packages, making sure the right things are involved, and really moving through that whole process of how it works for your agency. So you can move away from that one-off fee into recurring revenue. And that then comes to the service delivery. So you've thought about the whole package, you've strategized it, you've worked out how much you're going to charge, you've worked out what's included, you've worked out the billable hours, everything from that point of view. You then have to execute it. So the strategy piece is what you do before. The execution is when you're actually selling it to the client. So it's the service delivery, what's involved, what are you doing, making sure you're tracking it in the right way. It's so key to track the time spent, the costs and what's involved. And then you look at the recurring revenue at the back of it is what you win. And then the really, really important part, which so many agencies aren't doing, even if they're doing retainers, constantly go back and review. Constantly, after every piece you're delivering for that client, you need to go back, you need to measure how successful it was, measure the profit, and you need to review what's going on with that client. And the key reason of doing that is it gives you the opportunity to upsell. Okay, well, you actually used up all of the hours that are included in this retainer package. You used every single piece that was included. We actually think that you'd be ready to move up to our next package now and get some more benefits from that. So it's so important to strategize it, complete the work, and then review it. And you keep doing those cycles with every client. So you do account check-ins, you make sure they're doing the right things to allow you to upsell to them. And if you just click one time, please, Corey, you'll show that all of this comes together. It didn't pop up, but it all comes together to build you that ideal package at the right price. So where do you start? You need to start small, but think big. Don't suddenly turn every single client you've got into a retainer-based client. It's not realistic, and you won't be able to do it. So you need to start small. So you need to start small, start thinking about the packages, build out 1 or 2 and figure out how they could look. But think big. Think about how you can build those out into the future. Be very realistic about earnings. It's very easy with retainers to go, okay, well, we've got 100 clients. So if we had all our clients in a retainer at $3,000 per month, we can suddenly be at this huge recurring revenue. You need to be realistic about what you're actually going to be able to achieve initially. You need to make sure you model the finances before going into it to make sure it is profitable for your agency. And you need to think about the people you have, putting the right processes in place to make it scalable, and the technology, i.e. the tech stack you're using behind it to track it all. You need to then draft a strategy behind it all, create the marketing plan, and then build up proof. And that might mean you win 1 or 2 new agencies on the retainer-based plan, or you have those early adopters that are existing clients who you've got a fantastic relationship with, who you can move onto a retainer-based strategy. With them, you can then build up that proof that you can drip feed out to the outside world to show what you're doing and encourage other people to come and buy these retainer packages from you. And that is the end. So please do fire any questions into the Q&A. We have touched this on a very, very high level, because I could sit for weeks and talk to you about retainer strategy and how to build it out, how to include it, how to the upside, the strategy, the marketing, the full commercial model. And I'm happy to do that. So there is a QR code on screen if you do want to book a call. Not just to sit there and pitch you hosting, don't worry, but we can, of course, talk about that if you have hosting needs. But I'm happy to talk about your agency, how it's set up, how your retainers work or don't work for you currently, and give you insights from other agencies that we work with. Please do put any questions into the Q&A. We're happy to run through them.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Olly. You know, you've been working with agencies for a long time. I've been working with agencies for a long time. That trough and those valleys, the up and down, and it's always back to recurring revenue and retainers. And I love how you set the stage for this. One of the biggest things is you all put your questions in the Q&A for Olly so we can discuss. One of the biggest things we work with here, Olly, is obviously WordPress agencies too. Now, all kinds of agencies, but WordPress is huge, obviously on the internet for good reason. And it comes down to WordPress maintenance and care plans. We've seen that successfully done in the industry. And would you just take a moment and just share how that particular component can really drive an agency's growth off the back of those project-based?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 ways of looking at it. And I'm going to share one that a lot of people probably aren't thinking about as well. But the core one is, if you are a WordPress web dev agency or you're a full service agency, you're making WordPress sites, that site needs to be looked after. So, okay, here's the upfront 20, 50, 200K to build the website, but who's going to look after it? And so it's getting that client onto a web maintenance retainer where you're doing the WordPress updates. You might be given some dev hours included in that to go and change some colors, add new pages, to update content, and then do the SEO behind it, do the PPC behind it. There's so much that you can tag on to just building the website that gives you the monthly retainer. Now, a lot of agencies are actually pretty good at doing that and selling that as a service. What many don't think about is actually, what if that website itself was a retainer? So rather than paying, so say you charge $30,000 for a website, to keep it simple. What if you could actually be charging £50,000 to that website, but instead of the client paying you £50,000 up front, it's a whole retainer-based model. So actually they're just paying you $5,000 per month on a 3-year contract. That includes the web maintenance, that includes some dev hours and some content and some PPC and some SEO. Then you can change the whole mindset. And when someone's looking to buy it, they're going, well, okay, if I go to this agency, I've got to pay $50,000 up front and $3,000 a month. Or if I go to this agency, I can just pay $5,000 a month. And it changes the whole mindset of how people buy things. But actually what you'll see it does is you still get the same amount of money. Obviously, there is an element of risk here, that if that business goes out of business, you might not get paid. So there is an element of risk. You have to bear that in mind and make sure you're getting the right client, doing your right credit history checks, doing the right due diligence. But if you do that, you make the onboarding for that person much easier. You make your churn rate much lower, and you move from those peaks and troughs into stable, predictable, recurring income.
And I think you really just answered Sean's question he put into the chat. It was, how do I do? I'm charging $100 a month, which is excellent, by the way. How do I get to the 3K? And I think you just gave a really good example of that. But in that, Olly, you were mentioning too, if you think about the clients, and that's where you started this whole thing from, is thinking about the things they're needing. There's levels here. A level that's just maintaining it. Maybe they have a brochure top side and don't put as much. Maybe that's Sean, like your $100 example. But you mentioned dev hours. Most of the clients I've seen that work with our agency partners, they obviously need more. A website is a critical strategic component for a business, and they do one set of expertise that probably is not web development. So those design and development hours you talked about could go into a package like that. And I love that. And then your thought about how to turn something that's a one-time into a bigger growth option, because that's what the client needs long term.
Yeah. And I think as well, just to expand on Sean's question, That £100 per month, I'm assuming, is just to do the core updates, plugin updates, theme updates, and you mentioned a little bit of support there, so i.e. they phone you if there's something going on. It's then looking at what other problems do they have that you can solve. And a really easy way to increase your retaining revenue is consultancy. And we run a report every year on what agencies are doing, and we can share that with people. It is branded as one of our other brands, other than Hosting.com, is a Nimbus report. But actually, what we've seen over the last 3 years is agencies shifting. And the number one profitable thing that's including retainers now is consultancy. Hey, we'll come in, we'll do a review for you of not just the website, but actually what else? What else are you doing from a marketing perspective that affects the website? How's it driving people to the website and that side of things? We can do consultancy for you. And rather than you paying $15,000 for someone to come in and sit with you for a couple of days and do that consultancy, we'll include it in the retainer. And actually, every month we'll have a 1 hour meeting and we'll touch base and we'll see what's going on and we'll help you with this consultancy piece. That works very well. I can see we've got a couple of questions from Sherry as well. So can you give examples of what you can productize? What can't you productize? So if you look at everything that you do as an agency, it depends entirely on what the agency is. So if we focus on just an SEO agency, okay, you could productize competitor reviews, keyword research can be a product. You can productize that. You can productize the actual work of SEO itself. You can productize the consultancy around that, around the strategy of SEO. You can productize how you're going to do the work on the website. All of these can be products. It's just changing the mindset of thinking of it as a service to thinking of it as a product. And I can see a follow-on for that. So I worked for an agency where in the industry, there used to be annual contracts, but the industry went away from that. So they could be more flexible with their cash flow, so they wanted to go away from contracts. So the key thing there of bringing it back to that model is you don't need them to pay annually. So that's often the reason people think about, oh, it's a 2-year contract, so I have to pay for 2 years now. Change that to be, well, you can pay monthly. It's a 2-year contract, but you can pay us monthly, which helps with our cash flow. More importantly, helps with your cash flow because you've got that predictable recurring income every month. And that's the key argument to that.
I wanted to add too, and Sherry's example is, what are the strengths? What are the things you love to do or like to do or can do? And because, instantly I'd start to talk about marketing, but that's more of my forte. But so sharing others, and list some of the things you do, and and Ollie can comment on that too. But if you think about those things, like he mentioned, SEO, is this something you're technically good at and proficient? It could become part of those retainers, right, Ollie?
100%. So rather than just charging for an SEO service, you could build out 3 retainer plans. The first one is, well, we just do some content for you that's SEO focused. Package 2, we do keyword research and we then do the content for you that's SEO focused. Package 3, we do consultancy, we do competitor research, we then do the keyword research, then we do the SEO for you. And you create the different options for people to move through. It's a key way of productizing that. Sarah's asked a great question. See if we've been scaling sales and maintenance models with AI agents. Yes. AI is something that if agencies aren't doing, they need to be doing it very, very quickly. You need to be reviewing what you're doing with AI because it's going to very rapidly change to agencies who are helping themselves with AI are going to be leaps and bounds ahead. And there's only going to be maybe a 12-month window for you to get into that space and get ready for that because it's really making a difference. So an agency that I was with just yesterday, actually having lunch, they use AI in their discovery meetings. So when they're going to meet a new prospect for the first time, they've built an AI tool that has been trained on them as an agency, trained on all their pitch decks, trained on everything. And it basically listens and sits in that initial discovery meeting. At the end of that discovery meeting, it's already built the pitch deck based on the simple retainer packages because it's productized, because there's a set number of packages and they have set services within them. It's able to then build the pitch deck. So at the end of the discovery meeting, they turn the computer around and they pitch back to that client. Because they haven't got to go away and spend any time doing that, they can come in 5-10% cheaper straight away because there's less cost to them in time in the business. Less hours have been spent working on the pitch. In fact, no time has been spent working on the pitch. And therefore, they win significantly higher than other agencies because they're immediately pitching back. They're not having to go away, try and book the follow-up meeting, try and get people at the right time, the right decision makers back together again, and build the pitch. It's just done. The right people are in the room and they deliver the pitch. That's one way of doing it. We at Hosting.com use AI social selling. So we have AI sales development representatives, and they are going out on LinkedIn. They're doing personalized outreach where they're looking through what people are doing, what they're interacting with, what sites are they building in, and it's sending them hyper personalized outreach via LinkedIn. So that's one way you could be doing sales. What I know a lot of agencies are doing, I was actually at an event by agency hackers in the UK. They also run events in the in the US, called Robots Are Coming. And one agency showed us their N8N workflow, where they've got a crazy workflow with multiple workers, multiple LLM, access to LLMs in there, that basically takes a lead on an incredible journey and sells to them. And it will even phone them as well. So it sends them LinkedIn messages. It will phone them back based on things that it's learned. And it takes them all the way to actually pitching to them at the end as well. So there is some really incredible things you can do in AI. Highly, highly recommend, if you haven't, dive headfirst in now and start looking what's out there. Start signing up to AI webinars. There's so many happening. There's one happening on the 11th of November. It's called the Agency Growth Summit. Highly recommend it. So many people we know are talking at events, some amazing experts, and they're going to talk about how you can use AI to win in your agency, be more efficient, win more sales, save time, and deliver better results for the same price to the clients.
So there's something, if you followed along with what Ollie said, is get those retainers going in your agency. And then second, now if you set a price, you know the benefits, the clients love those, then use AI to process, streamline, make the most of your time. So there's your profit there. So find ways where you can automate those things. I love how you give the mention of like a discovery, having an AI note taker like Fathom, or something that you're recording those and can put that into an automated process to create your proposals and things like that you send to clients. So I love that because it's two ways. It's one, you're going to make more money doing retainers on that solid revenue line, and then you use everything you can to process those. So you're spending less and less time on those and still getting the output with AI and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very good point. So I'd put a link into an AEO test analyzer. So AEO and GEO is basically SEO for AI or LLMs. So that's definitely, again, has talked a lot about that. And we have a lot of information on how to do that, because we rank #1 in LLMs. If you search for digital agency hosting in ChatGPT or Gemini or anything else, we are often #1, because so much work has gone into that to it's mainly content, but there's different types of SEO you have to do and different types of content you have to create to rank there. So it's a very key area you have to be focused on as well.
So Steve asked the question, and actually the answer is our key agency success guide we have here is named Nathan Ingram. He does all of our training, most of all of our training. Then we pull in experts like Ollie and Daphne on their respective expertise here. But I'm going to share this in the chat. Steve, you asked about contracts, about hiring an attorney. Always good, but we're not going to give legal advice necessarily, but I think it's always good to have an attorney review things, especially if you're really worried about it. But check out monstercontracts.com. It's a product that Nathan put out for that question you just asked, which about creating retainer contracts and things like that. A great starting point.
Yeah, exactly. And you can then take that as your foundation and build how you need to build. They are fantastic. And when we talk about AI, it's worth noting you also should be looking at your AI terms and conditions and how you're using AI in your business, and having the right legal stuff in place around that as well, because you can get in deep water. I don't think it's going to be very long until there's a huge data leak via AI, where someone internally as a business has dumped all their customers in to try and pull out some information, and it starts appearing everywhere else. So it's making sure you've got the right things in place for that as well. So the right training to your staff, the right processes in place, and then the right legal terms and conditions and contracts as well.
Absolutely. It's great work. Masin asks, what can a product for custom software development or maintenance services of custom developed software kind of look like? And I think it's almost the same. Like any custom software development thing requires maintenance, code change.
Even more maintenance.
Exactly. So
Because it's custom, so they can't go and do it. Really look back over the last 24 months. I don't know how long the business has been around, but look back over the last 24 months. Do you have a ticket system? Do you have emails to your clients? And how do the clients interact with you? Look at what they're asking you to do, and there'll be stuff in there that you can productize and put into a retainer.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think we got to most of the questions, but hey, we have a couple of minutes. If you have another question for Ollie, please post those in a Q&A. I'm also watching the chat, but I love this. There's a lot of ideas you can think about. I think if you start with your strengths, your expertise, the stuff that you really are really good at, like doing, and then the other part of that, Ollie, is asking clients, just thinking about what clients talk about, what they come back to you for. Those are ripe for areas to put into a retainer package. Oh, that's great. We have this thing for, like we're talking about. Maybe they want to add a donations donations page if they're a nonprofit downstream. Maybe there's a bucket of hours or something like that, but a lot of opportunities here if you start there, and then also asking, just listening and remembering what your clients ask for and need the most. It's ripe for a retainer package.
Yeah, a big thing we always do and recommend our clients do: speak to your clients. Doesn't have to be, hey, we're just touching base to see how the SEO is going. How's your business going? What problems are you facing as a business? And just really start to understand them, and you'll start to understand some pain points and figure out where you can help. And then the second bit of advice I have for that is also go to their industry events, not to sell to them. Some of them, yes, go to sell, but go to learn, understand the pain points they're having. What problems are they talking to each other about? What can you solve for?
And I think that's how you lead your team here too, is just asking questions and listening. And oftentimes clients will just share those. I'm struggling with this problem. Well, yes, I see other people struggling with the same problem. Here's something we do to help solve that, which can lead back to your retainers.
Exactly. Exactly. But you need to be knowledgeable about the problem to be able to solve it for them. Okay, just knowing you can solve it, great. Have the proof. Solve it for a few people first. Get proof, get case studies that you can then use to the next person to go, well, actually, this client who had that problem was experiencing XYZ. We did ABC, and their results were X. So
See,
it's having that proof as well.
look back at what Ollie shared here about the packages and stuff, and there might be a client that comes back time and time again, and you think that's a retainer, or you offer it to them, put it on your website. Like you do that now. And so there might be others like that client that go, I need that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. Well, we've answered a bunch of your questions. Thank you for being here. I just want to give a minute if you have any other questions before we wind this down. And Ollie's out at one of our awesome events, Brighton SEO event, talking to people just like you, agency owners. So if you have any more questions, I'll give just a minute. But Ollie, thanks so much. Be sure and use the book a call question. Ollie and team are here. I don't just tell people when I say book a call with our sales team I say, if you're ready to save money, there's often times where Ollie's account team can look at what you're doing and say, we could put this package together that could actually help you save money, which helps you make money. So check out that QR code there if you want to talk to Ollie about more stuff. And he and his team are here to help you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting question, Sarah. I think you can go in many, many different directions.
Can you
I think
repeat the
one
question
thing,
she asked?
yeah, of course. Sorry, yeah. So the question was, it might be a little off base, but where do you see the future of hosting and database management in the next 10 years? So there's some incredible new database products coming out, and there's some amazing ones coming out that are very clever and involve a lot of AI. I think hosting in the next 10 years could go in many, many different directions. I think the one thing we can be sure of is it's going to involve a lot of AI. And I think the AI will actually be solving the problems for you. So if you, as an example, if you were to open a live chat with whoever your hosting provider is, and you say, I need to apply an SSL certificate for my website, the AI will go and apply an SSL certificate to your website. That's the level I think we'll be at. And I don't think that's 10 years away. I think that's going to be happening in the next 1 to 2 years. And I think it'll be doing quite advanced stuff like that. It'll be doing quite advanced code changes on websites. I think that's what we're going to see happen. And that actually support teams are going to be able to spend more time with clients dealing with complex problems, because the simple problems will be getting handled by AI.
Hey, Ollie, Sherry asked another question. In a package, are you defining the deliverables like in hours too, or how do you define what you're offering?
That's an open-ended question, Sherry. It's a very, very valid question. I'll be happy to chat through it more if you want to book a call. It entirely depends on what you're selling, but typically you would be defining it in hours and results. But the way you want to think about it, where if you want, so the agency example we were giving, they gave 100% guarantee because basically they'd worked out, okay, if we're making a website, if we keep it really simple, we're going to make a website. We have a set process and a set structure to make this website because we haven't gone in and said we're going to do all these 50 million custom things for you. You've chosen package one. Packaging one includes these 10 things. So they're already limiting scope creep because of that. Oh, you want these other things? No problem. You now need to move to package two. And it's an upsell opportunity. Because you haven't promised these custom things that can take longer and move to other things. You've already predefined everything. And you know in the background how many hours that takes to deliver. And in your contract to them on that retainer, you'll have that in the contract, which is we've promised to do X. We basically make that mean it's 50 hours in the background is in your contract. In the package you're selling, you're not mentioning hours. You're just mentioning this is what we will deliver for you. But you know in the background what it is, and you move them through the packages and you upsell them to the next packages if they need things that don't fit within that package that you've delivered. I hope that helps.
Excellent. Good question, Sherry. All right. Last call. Thank you all again for being here at anotherhosting.com. And I just want to take a moment. You mentioned it too about the future of hosting, but at hosting.com, we're trying to show up as your trusted advisor, your partner here. So that's why we bring Olly and Daphne and others from our team on. And we have Nathan helping throughout the month share topics that you care about to grow your business. So our first value here at hosting.com is you win. You win, we win. And so thank you all for coming today. If you haven't signed up for our agency success community, go to myagencysuccess.com, sign up so you don't miss any of these type of webinars we're coming, and tell us what you're most interested in. Today was another point in helping you sell, make more money. That comes back to your agency, and we want to be your key partner in all of that. And Olly and his agency account team right there, hit the QR code and book a meeting and see how we can help you and go far together. But thank you, Olly, again. I hope you have a great night. I know it's nighttime where you're at, and thank you everybody else for being here today. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Agency Success live streams.
Thank you all.